You know, I found Islam but no Muslims. Now, I say that's how I used to feel. Now I'm not so sure. Because when now I look at the West, unfortunately, I'm beginning to see many of those negative qualities actually beginning to happen. Okay? Some of the very things that were so, the good treasured qualities you could say about the West, now they seem to be, to me, like they're fading away. You know, and I especially have to say with this neoconservative movement, you know, headed by George Bush and followed by the Trinity, I call them, Blair, Bush and Howard, okay? You see this neoconservative agenda taking over. And it really concerns me. And I feel concerned for the West, not just for Muslims, okay, but for them. And it is so sad to see that many of the qualities that makes that the West could stand really and say we have these qualities, they are losing them. Okay? You know, what we find in America, in Britain, 1,000 years, at least in Britain, more than 1,000 years perhaps of human rights and from the Magna Carta onwards, it's just been wiped out, just like that. Just like that, wiped out. I mean, in England now, you can be arrested and put in prison indefinitely. Okay? You can be, at the behest of the United States of America, you can be deported to the United States of America and you don't even have the right to know what you're supposed to have done wrong. You don't have the right to a lawyer. You don't have the right to appear in front of a judge. You don't even have the right to know what are the charges against you. Now, surely that demolishes the whole claim to human rights and justice. You know, so I'm reaching a stage where I'm beginning to feel a bit, nervous. Maybe there will be an exodus, I don't know, from the Muslims. Maybe things will get too tough. I believe there is an agenda at the moment. I don't want to go on too long about this, okay? But I do believe that we could really simplistically, and this is just for analysis, divide the Western world into two groups of people. The people who really believe in what we could call the liberal ideal. They believe in liberalism. They believe in multiculturalism. They believe in the idea of societies and religions living together, okay, in society. And they really do believe in those things. And there's many people, young and old, who stick to those ideals. We just need to see the 2.5 million people in England. It was amazing to see it. 2.5 million people who came to demonstrate against the war in Iraq. In Milan, nearly 5 million people. These are perhaps some of the biggest demonstrations that we know in history. Okay? So there is this broad, this broad group of people, who really still believe in these ideals. But there is another ideology that is coming to the fore. And this ideology is a group of people who want to split the world again along civilizational lines. They want the West to be for the Westerners. They want it to be once again Christendom, not a multicultural, multi-religious, multi-ethnic society, but they want it to be Christendom, once again dominated by the Greco-Roman Christian values. Okay? This is especially evident in France, also in the United States of America. This is the ideology that is being pushed. And this is why we have these things like banning hijab, making life more and more difficult for Muslims, because it really is an attempt to separate, again, the world of Islam because they see Islam is growing. And it's growing in Europe, and it's growing in America. And they're intimidated by that. Okay? So these ideals, they say, yeah, we can have these ideals as long as it's not going, when it starts going the way we don't want it to go, right? If people start becoming Muslim and that ethic starts taking over, then we change the rules of the game, right? It's like, I'm losing, now I'm changing the rules to make sure I can win, right? And, unfortunately, I think this is happening. Only time will tell where it is going to go. Only time. But I have to say, sorry to go on, but I do have to say to the Muslims something very important to my Muslim brothers and sisters. Okay? I believe that this is what is going on. You have not felt it yet in New Zealand, strongly. We were living in cuckoo land in England. right? We're not anymore. Now we're tasting it. Okay? I hope it doesn't happen here. But do you have to wait for something to happen before you wake up? Do you have to wait for something to happen before you realize that you can't live in the West like semi-ghettoized communities, living in ghettos, not communicating, not interacting, not sharing with people your experience of what Islam is and what it means? You know, you have to reach out. You have to let your neighbors know who you are. You have to invite them round to your house. Tell them about yourself. Tell your friends, tell your colleagues, share, because what we have at the moment is ignorance and suspicion. If we don't tell people about ourselves, about our religion, about the beautiful things about Islam, about how many things that we have in common and how many things we share in common. So many things. What is it that we all want to live in peace? Who wants war? We all want to live in peace. We want to live in harmony. We don't want ethnic strife, and we want to get on with our lives and worship God, okay? And have the freedom to believe what we want to believe, and we will. That's the same for everyone else. Isn't that what we want? Okay. But you know what? If you don't let people know, and you don't explain to them what Islam is about, you know who is going to explain to them? I'll tell you who will explain to them. Shaitan will explain to them. He will come and he will put in their brains, oh, these people are like this and these people are like that. Right? And their imagination will take over. Oh, look who moved in next door. He's got a big beard. And she's covering her head. Oh dear, it's those Muslims. And what is that? A bag of fertilizer? Are they going to build a bomb? Huh? No, we're laughing. We're laughing. It's not a joke though. It's not a joke, because that's what happens. So we have to, and also the other thing, brothers and sisters, is very important. This is the most challenging thing I'm going to throw out to you. I'm going to throw out to you something I hope we're ready for it. I'm not sure we are. Okay? But we have to get rid of our cultural baggage. We have to. Okay? We have to start realizing that Islam, we have to start knowing the difference. And it's challenging. But what is the difference between Islam and culture? Okay? Many of us just think that what we do and what our parents did and what our grandparents did is Islam. No. The fact is that some parts of it are Islam. Maybe many parts of it are Islam. But believe me, some parts of it are Hinduism. Some parts of it are tribal customs. Some parts of it are all sorts of things. They're things that we have put ourselves from our culture and our mind. I'm only suggesting these things to show the ways that we need to start thinking. Okay? Islam is flexible enough to work here in the West. We can make it work. But we have to think very deeply and very hard. And we have to think, how much is our culture and how much is our religion? And we have to find a way to make Islam work within the cultural context of where we live, without abandoning the religion. That's the other extreme that some people go to, and they give up everything altogether. That's not right either. We have to find something in between.
I want to make a couple of statements and would like you to make comments on them, please.
Okay.
First, that we know Islam means peace. We also know that in Islam, taking away innocent lives, like it happened in your backyard in London, is not condoned by Islam. But the other thing is that the West, probably out of misunderstanding, call these people who create these atrocities jihadists. And I'd like to you to make comments on these, please. Thank you.